Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic:
what is something more traumatizing than people realize? Being laid off. After it happens once, you fear for the loss of your future jobs at all times. When my husband was laid off, I watched it affect him in a way that I was not prepared to deal with. American men are told that so much of their worth to do with their ability to economically provide. Yes, before my husband was laid off, he was a workaholic who defined himself by his work ethic, and being let go for no fault of his own broke him. He was supposed to be irreplaceable. After a month at home they did call him back, but that month at home we had some long talks, and he realized that being a father and husband was way more important. He eventually quit and now works from home to be able to spend quality time with our son while he's still young enough to care. It's not fair to our men how society tries to steal their real life away and replace it with work. Betrayal. You never realize how truly traumatizing that is until it happens to you. But it kills a part of you that you can't get back. Edit: I didn't expect this to be the top comment. I'm so sorry to anyone that relates. You deserved better. Each betrayal begins with trust, to quote Fish. Betrayal breaks so much more than your heart. It breaks your ability to even want to open up again. An infestation of any kind in your home. We had a bird mite infestation a few years ago and it nearly ruined our lives and relationships, emotionally and financially. Horror. After a house fire, my family lived for almost a year in a house infested with roaches. It was bad. They'd get into the refrigerator, they'd climb up the back of the stove and get into cooking food. We couldn't use the oven because there were so many dead ones inside of it. We'd feel them crawl on us in the middle of the night and had to fluff out our hair in the mornings. We were in a bad way financially, so we had no recourse. It was so bad that we lost most of the few things we'd been able to scrounge up after the fire, because when we were finally able to move, we couldn't take our furniture, toys and most of our electronics because they were infested. This happened 40 years ago and I still have trauma from it. I'd have trauma from one night of that. I think I have trauma just reading that. Overprotective upbringings. Many children live with deep-rooted self-limiting beliefs that impact their careers and lives. I'm an elementary teacher and we are seeing the anxiety STSRT as early as kinder and first grade that happens as a result of this. First, hard thing, many of these children absolutely collapse. I'm also a teacher and seeing this. The learned helplessness does nothing for them either. I remember being in second grade after failing a quiz on state capitals and becoming absolutely hysterical. My teacher pulled me into the hallway to console me. In retrospect, I wonder what he thought about that. Yeah, my parents were very overprotective, but then once I turned 18 completely cut the strings. I didn't know how to adult for a long time. I remember very distinctly being 19 and not knowing what to do with my life and my mom yelling at me that I couldn't survive without her. Yeah, she made sure of that. Being betrayed by someone extremely close to you. It's something you'll remember forever. Actively analyzing others to make sure it doesn't happen again. The defense mechanisms you develop are not always healthy. Even without context, more people know what I mean than there should be. None of us deserve what happened. Unemployment and being rejected over and over for jobs. And then having the rest of society label the same people as lazy and not trying hard enough. Isn't the hiring process ridiculous? It sucks that being good at interviewing is part of basically any job you want to get, even if it's not a skill that's required to do the actual job. Not everyone is going to make a good impression in like a one-on-one straight-up interrogation, with so much on the line in some cases. Interviews are terrifying for us introverts. And it's really honestly not fair. I think when it comes to bullying, even if the bullying itself isn't that bad, what's awful is the constant dread it creates. It hardwires hypervigilance into the victim's brain, so they are feeling the effects and suffering long after it's gone. Edit: I commented because I think it is hard for people who haven't gone through it to realize how damaging bullying is, and I try to raise awareness where I can. The hypervigilance is hard for people to comprehend. I'm afraid I'm not doing a great job explaining it, and I'm sorry about that. Edit: I can't reply to everyone, so I am going to put some more information and resources here. I found out about CPTSD on Reddit and found a lot of resources on that sub. This is kind of an a la carte menu of things to try if you are interested. I am an expert in nothing but my own experiences, so this should not be considered complete or appropriate for everyone. Cognitive behavior therapy, feeling good, burns. CBT helped me with my self-esteem and catastrophizing. EMDR therapy, you need a certified therapist for this. Helped reduce my triggers. I do use it to process things when I am in a bad spot still, but you are supposed to start with a therapist. Pete Walker, CPTSD from surviving to thriving. I'm not exaggerating when I say this book saved my life. I adapted his emotional flashback management plan, wrote it down on a dozen index cards. Practiced it when I didn't need it so I was able to use it better when I did. Kind of like a fire drill for my brain. The one thing I disagree with Pete Walker on is handling the internal critic. Through internal family systems I came to know all my parts, and I believe they formed to help me. I don't shout 'em down, like Pete recommends. If that works for someone, I am happy, whatever works. I got to know my parts and got them other jobs which they were happy to take. My self-harm part became a self-help part, suggesting things we could do for distraction when things get bad. Internal Family Systems Therapy, by Schwartz. I got the book from the library and basically started talking into the void. I have a whole community in my head who I talk to and address issues with. It's a little out there, but it works for me and it's the only thing that has ever helped with the hypervigilance. I have 3 guys in the control room and a whole team of forest ranger types out in the field. They are constantly checking and anticipating. My work with them mostly involves getting them to stand down and just do whatever they want, because most of the time I am in a safe environment now. They formed to protect me in childhood and never left their posts. Whatever happened and wherever you are now, you deserve to feel okay. Just knowing that you are no longer powerless and can work on healing is a big step. I wish you all the best and hope everyone finds something to help them. Take care. Edit, again, sorry, one more thing which was really the first thing. I'm not multitasking very successfully right now. I started with good old regular talk therapy and eventually group therapy. Having the therapist and the people in group who really understood what I went through and how it felt tell me it was not okay and I didn't deserve it was cathartic and extremely helpful. It was an important step in the process. Okay, another edit, someone else recommended this book. It seems like our reading lists were very similar. Would also highly recommend Healing the Fragmented Selves of Trauma Survivors by Janina Fisher. Her work is relatively new, but she takes ifs and makes it more effective for those who have higher levels of trauma. And if you're already abused at home, I feel like it's worse. The behavior is normalized and you feel like you can't do anything to fight it. You learn to accept bad treatment and lower your standards for how other people treat you. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what happened to me. When I started getting bullied at school, it pretty much confirmed that I was a worthless piece of garbage, because both with the abuse and bullying, I couldn't find any reason for it, other than it was just me. I got over the self-esteem stuff and I handle most of my triggers well, most of the time, but the hypervigilance, that's the gift that never seems to stop giving. I've tried a lot of things. It's helped some, but it's just so natural for me to play out a million different scenarios in my head. It's exhausting. It's one of the reasons I try to raise awareness about the damage bullying causes in that particular way. I was bullied throughout my childhood and you aren't kidding. Constantly being, not just on edge, but terrified that someone was going to notice you in the wrong way was excruciating. My cortisol levels must have been through the roof as a child, lol. I still don't like a lot of attention on me. I didn't even realize how badly this affected me until my mid-30s. I am hyper-aware of myself in every interaction I ever have, even when walking past strangers I will never see again. How am I carrying myself? Is my facial expression appropriate for this moment? Is there anything wrong with the clothing I am wearing? Have I chosen the wrong outfit? Basically running a list of anything I could be called out for or invoke a negative response to anyone in the vicinity, and even more so, from anyone who acknowledges my existence even for a second. After having realized and become aware of this, I am still not much better, but I can at least catch myself doing it from time to time and make an attempt to tamp down that anxiety. I only wish I could do it way more consistently and successfully, but it's progress. Agree with this. I hate being the center of attention and I'm 32 now and still have social anxiety and huge self-esteem issues. Been working on building confidence, but it's so hard. As they say, the bullies will never remember what they did, but their victims will remember it for the rest of their lives. I was severely bullied in what is the equivalent of middle school where I am from. Years later at uni, I was sitting in a lecture hall waiting for the lecture to start, and in comes one of my worst bullies. He spots me, sits down next to me and starts chatting as if nothing ever happened, reminiscing about our days at school. I was flabbergasted at how he remembered things. To me it was living hell, to him it was just a normal childhood. The axe forgets, the tree remembers. Realizing your childhood wasn't as happy as you thought. Oof, this one hit me. Realizing that it's not normal to constantly apologize and the trauma response of instant appeasement and fawning to avoid conflict can last well into adulthood. I don't doubt I was and still am loved. But the emotional and mental fear of saying or doing the wrong thing was real. What hit me was observing and in general having my brother-in-law in the house. He never makes bright eyes and squeaks thank you when you do something for him. He is calm, respectful, and is fine receiving things from people. In the same way he will do everything for you out of gratitude. But he never fawns and people pleases. I do it all the time, even when I'm not comfortable, or when I don't like the people, or when they barely did anything for me. I'm also jealous of his composedness lol. People around him can say the wildest SHT ever and provoke him, he stays calm and can just stay silent the entire time and then calmly go home. Meanwhile me, get angry and emotional and argue the second I hear what I don't like. Parents that doubt, deny their child's emotional experiences. It creates a narrative that you are a liar and cannot trust even your own reality. The amount of conversations I've had that went like, me, yeah, I remember this time that you screamed at me as a kid. Mom, oh, that didn't happen. Me, it's burned into my memory. Mom, well, it's just 'cause I'm such a terrible mother. Jesus Christ, God. Yeah, and then my father would come in with, how could you blindside your mother like that? By doing what? Repeating her own words. So she gets to say whatever she wants no matter how cruel, and I'm the bad guy for reminding her she said it.